Welcome to Triple Your Traffic with Pinterest. I'm so excited that you've decided to join me here today. If we haven't met yet, I'm Kathryn Moorhouse. I teach content creators and Pinterest managers how to simplify their marketing strategies, use Pinterest effectively for their business, and create a profitable business that gives them the time freedom and the financial freedom that they've been searching for. I'm all about simplicity, efficiency, and creating a business that you're really excited about. Whether it's your weekly workflows, your Pinterest marketing tasks, tailwind scheduling, or your Pinterest strategy that we're working on, I like to keep things simple because we want to keep things profitable. I've built and run 3 businesses, all of which have used the power of the Pinterest search engine to drive traffic to my websites and to grow my audiences and my sales. After graduating with a degree in marketing, I dived straight into corporate only to be swept up by this amazing, wonderful world of entrepreneurship. I began working on campaigns and marketing strategies for small business owners using all of their social media channels. And every single month when I'd come back to take a look at the analytics to see what worked, Pinterest stood out far above the rest. Traffic, email list growth, sales, and client leads. It happened over and over again until I couldn't look away anymore. I had to dive into Pinterest. I had to focus in on it and niche just into Pinterest because of the return on investment it was giving me for the amount of effort that I was putting in to that marketing channel. Over the years, I've coached, mentored, and taught hundreds of clients and students how to increase their traffic and sales using Pinterest. And today I'm so excited because we're going to dive into 3 simple things that you can start doing right away to begin growing your traffic from Pinterest. But before we dive into that, there are a few things I want you to know about Pinterest before we get started. So let's dive in. The first thing is that Pinterest is a visual search engine. So when a Pinterest user types something into the Pinterest search bar, Pinterest will go ahead and find all the content that matches that search query and deliver it in the form of images. So if you think of Google and Instagram having a baby, that's my analogy for this. If you think of Google and Instagram having a baby, we'd call it Pinterest because Pinterest has the amazing search engine functionality like Google, but it has the beautiful visual aesthetics of Instagram. So when you type something into the Google search bar, you get text-based results. But when you type something into the Pinterest search bar, you get images back. And we know that everybody responds really well to images. We can see exactly what we are getting, and most of the time we relate to that image a lot better than we would if it was just a text-based result. The second thing is Pinterest uses keywords to match the content with the search query. Okay, so let's dive into this one. If there is one thing that you can take away from today, it's this. Pinterest uses keywords for everything. If you search for something on Pinterest, they will use keywords to find pins that match what you just searched. If they want to recommend a pin to you, they use keywords to match a pin and your interests. So keywords really is the secret sauce when it comes to Pinterest marketing, and we're going to talk more about keywords today. But here is an example. If you typed into the Pinterest search bar, cranberry sauce recipe, Pinterest is going to take those keywords and they're going to look at all the content across Pinterest to see what pins match that keyword, what pins actually have the keywords cranberry sauce recipe in them so that they can deliver the best results for you. So that when you type that cranberry sauce recipe keyword into the search bar, you actually get recipes back. You get pin images about these cranberry sauce recipes. So the way they do that is they use keywords in order to match what you typed into the search bar to all the pins across Pinterest. And as a marketer on Pinterest, this is important. We need to pay attention to our keywords because Pinterest uses keywords for everything. It's the secret sauce. The third thing is that Pinterest loves content. Pinterest thrives off of content because if you type something into a search bar, it needs to find the content that's on the platform and then deliver it in the search results. Now, if there were no pins on Pinterest, they wouldn't have anything to show you in the search results, which is why they love content. They love it when you take your new blog posts and you put them onto Pinterest using a pin image. They love it when you add your products to Pinterest because what that lets them do is it lets them share that content with the ideal client on Pinterest that is searching for that. So they love content. Pinterest needs content in order to serve up those search results. So they absolutely love content creators. And you as a content creator get the benefit of this. They love fresh content and they prioritize it. Meaning if you're adding new content, it gets prioritized in front of your ideal client based on the keywords that you use. So again, everything works with all three of these points. Pinterest is a visual search engine, so it needs to be treated like a search engine. Pinterest uses keywords for everything. Because it's a search engine, it utilizes search engine keywords. Then it loves content creators because it has to serve up content. So those are the three things that you need to know before we dive into the training today. By the end of our training today, I will give you 3 things to do that will help you work with the Pinterest search engine to make sure that you're showing up in front of your ideal client and get the traffic you're looking for. But there's one thing we need to look at. Where do people go wrong when it comes to Pinterest marketing? The first thing is they don't focus on what Pinterest actually is. They treat it like a regular social media channel instead of the search engine that it is. So if you're treating Pinterest like a social media channel, then I want you today to say no more. I'm going to focus on it as a search engine, because the minute you shift your mindset to focus on its search engine capability, that is when you tap into the true power of the traffic generator that is Pinterest. The second thing is they get overwhelmed by the thought of SEO. SEO stands for search engine optimization. So that means you're essentially trying to optimize all the content you put out there for the search engine. So yes, it sounds overwhelming, it sounds scary, and so most of the time people just go, I'm just going to add the pins to Pinterest, hoping they'll take off and go viral overnight, and I'm just going to treat it like a regular social media channel, because the thought of search engine optimization is overwhelming. Now today, I hope I'm going to give you some insight into how you can find your keywords so that you don't get overwhelmed by it, so that you start to see it's actually a lot easier than you think it is, and it has longevity. The minute you work with a search engine, your content is evergreen. That means it's up there forever. So if someone searches for cranberry sauce recipe today, they could see your pin. If they search for cranberry sauce recipe in 3 years from today, they could see your pin. That means you can get traffic to your website from one piece of content for years to come. Not just once off for a few minutes in a day, but for years to come. The third thing is they expect to see results right away, and when they don't, they give up. But the thing about Pinterest is it's a slow burn. That's what we refer to it as. It takes time for it to be mapped appropriately with the right keywords to get the engagement it needs to get in front of your ideal client. But here's the thing. It's evergreen, as I mentioned. So what happens is it's very similar to the compound effect that you get in finance. When you save $1 and you get some interest over time, it compounds and it adds to it. And that is very similar with Pinterest. The longer your content is on Pinterest, the more it gets shared, the more it has time to be mapped towards the right keywords, the better it will perform. The more you add fresh content, the more you are consistent. All of this works towards creating the best possible Pinterest profile that increases your traffic over and over again over time. The last thing is they have no end goal in mind, and therefore they don't leverage the traffic that they're actually getting. Now we're going to dive into that today. If you don't know what you want your audience to do on Pinterest, they won't know what to do when they get to your website, and you won't know what content to put on Pinterest. So let's dive into the 3 things you need to do, whether you're new to Pinterest or you've been using it for a while, in order to start increasing your traffic today from Pinterest. You need to know exactly what you want your pinner to do. You need to create pin designs that entice them to click. And the third thing is you need to work with the Pinterest search engine. So let's dive into the first one. You need to know exactly what you want your pinner to do. Knowing what you want a Pinterest user to do when they land on your website is the first strategic move you'll make when it comes to Pinterest marketing. This is essentially knowing your end goal that you have for a pinner. It will dictate what content you share on Pinterest, how you put together that content on your website, and what content you'll end up promoting on Pinterest in the future. So an end goal could be something like this. I want my Pinterest audience to sign up for my email list. I want to use Pinterest in order to increase my product purchases. I would like to get client leads in my inbox from Pinterest. I would like Pinterest users to read my blog posts and leave comments. All of those are potential end goals, and there are so many more. But you have to focus on choosing just one, because when you choose one end goal, it becomes extremely clear what content you need to put on Pinterest. Do you need to put blog posts on Pinterest? If reading blog posts is part of your end goal, if that is the end goal, then that is the content that should be going on Pinterest. If you want them to leave comments, that tells you you have to make sure that in your blog post you have asked them to comment multiple times with engaging questions. If your end goal is to get email signups, you know that you have to promote your freebie on Pinterest. You need to promote your blog posts that have the freebie and the content upgrade in them. You have to have your email sign up form on the page that you're sending them to. So you can see the minute you know your end goal and what you want that pinner to do, it helps you see exactly what your next steps are. The minute you go onto Pinterest without this end goal, you'll just share everything without any clear idea of what you want them to do. And the problem is, your ideal client may end up on your website from pins that you share to Pinterest, but they won't know what their next step is if you don't even know what their next step is. So understanding your end goal helps you create a customer journey, and a customer journey leads to conversions. Let me say that again. A customer journey leads to conversions. When you can bring cold users from Pinterest, a cold audience, meaning they don't know who you are, through to your website, and you can take them on a journey through a process that you have set out on that page, and the next steps are really clear and very easy for them to take, they will take those steps with you. They will engage, they will convert, and you will end up growing your audience, growing your readership, growing your email list, increasing your sales, and making sure that every effort that you put into Pinterest is actually paying back. Why is it important to choose one end goal? Like I said, it's going to help you know what content you should be sharing on Pinterest. But not only that, it's going to help you identify whether or not the content you're currently sharing on Pinterest will even result in that end goal. So if your end goal is email signups, and you're sending them to your portfolio, your gallery portfolio, and there is no email sign up form, there's no freebie, there's no content upgrade, there's nothing enticing them to get on your email list, there isn't even a sign up form, then that page, that pin, it is not helping you achieve your end result. So what does that do? It makes you aware of an area that you can improve on. You can now go ahead and edit that portfolio page to include your email sign-up form, to include a freebie specifically for people that land on that page. Now you are thinking strategically. Now you are looking at where you can improve this customer journey to actually get the conversions you're looking for. So for today, I want you to choose one end goal for your Pinterest profile. Once you've gone ahead and done that, I know it's hard to choose just one, but we're just going to choose one. I want you to then make a note of the kind of content that encourages that end goal. That means if you have an end goal of email signups, what content would help your ideal client that's coming from Pinterest actually sign up to your email? That may be something like blog posts where there is an email sign up form in it. It may be your freebie landing pages where you give them free content in exchange for their email. It may be your product page where you actually also have a freebie pop-up show up. It may be a portfolio page that you've put your email sign up form on. I want you to list out the different content you currently have on your website that matches that end goal, that would help them actually achieve that end goal. Then I want you to make a note of changes you can make on your website pages that maybe don't have that as the end goal. So now what you're going to do is, if maybe your portfolio page doesn't have an email sign-up page, but you have decided that your one end goal is email signups, you can now write down right there that you need to edit that website page. You need to add your freebie to the portfolio page because you want to encourage email signups. Portfolio graphics are great on Pinterest. So you want to make sure that you are encouraging your ideal client to click through, sign up for your email list. Maybe your end goal is to actually get them into your inbox, but your portfolio page doesn't even have the button or the option, the call to action to say, hey, reach out to me. Do you like this? Here we go. You need to make it really clear what their next step is. So right there, I want you to say which pages you're going to edit to help encourage this end goal. Because now, once you choose your end goal, you find the content that encourages that end goal, and you look at the website pages you could update so that they will also encourage that end goal. Now you are thinking strategically. Now you are making sure that you have a customer journey that is aligned with the one result you want to get from Pinterest. It is inevitable that you will receive that end result. You will get and achieve that end result once you have one end goal in mind, because every action you take on Pinterest is now dictated by this one end goal. Now that we've chosen our end goal, it's time to move on to creating pin designs that actually entice our ideal client to click through to our websites. Pinterest is a visual search engine. That means your visuals play a huge role in how a Pinterest user engages with your content. It is basically the face of your content. So if you have a wonderful blog post and it's in-depth, detailed, and amazing, but your pin image doesn't portray that, it doesn't showcase that, your ideal client is not going to click through. And in the same way, if you have this amazing portfolio or amazing product store, but you're not showcasing that through your pin design, your audience will never get to see it on your website because they'll never be clicking through. So we want to make sure that we're putting out pin images that our audience engages with. But here's the truth about pin design. Every single audience on Pinterest is different. They react to different things. Some ideal clients love the white, minimal, bold look, while others want bright colors with large text on the image. Some people want to see lifestyle images for the products. Some people just want a plain product image. Other people don't even want to see the product. They want to see the pain point that they're experiencing. They want to see you solve that in a blog post and suggest a product from that blog post. So every single audience is slightly different, and your pin images need to attract your ideal client. So what that means is it's your job to create variations in your pin design, to test which pin design your audience likes the most. Because again, I can tell you how you should design your pins. I can give you pin designs that you should use. You can go to canva.com and find the Pinterest templates and use their Pinterest templates. That is a great start. And the thing is, you still need to test which pin design your audience engages with the most, because your audience is different to my audience, is different to another business owner's audience, and they engage with things differently. Now, here's a great thing. Even your ideal clients, your group of ideal clients, they may also individually act differently from one another. That means one of your ideal clients may love the white, minimal, bold look, while the other ideal client likes the bright colors with large text on the image. But you won't know what they enjoy or they engage with until you test it, until you put it out there. So it's your job to look at all the pin design options that you could come up with and showcase your content in a variety of pin designs and test. Because like I say, every single audience is different. Once you have created a variety of pin images for your content and you've tested which ones your audience loves the most, you can move forward with those kind of designs, because then what happens is every single time you add your content to Pinterest, you know your audience is going to click on it because it's the pin design that they always click on. And that means more traffic. It means increased traffic and making a strategic decision. You are looking at your pin design from a strategic point of view. What kind of design is my ideal client engaging with? What positioning, what color, what text, what background images do they love the most? Let me do more of that so that I can make sure that any content I share on Pinterest, they will click on and go to my website. So here are some examples of pin designs that look very different from one another. And yet you could use every single kind of template that is showcased here. Some of these have text on the images. Some of them are just images standalone by themselves. Some of them have text in different positions. Some of them have logos on them. Some of them use the websites at the bottom. Some of them have bright, bold colors, and others are white, minimal, clean. You can utilize a variety of styles, a variety of designs. The key thing to remember though is you always want to bring your branding into your pin designs. Brand recognition is very important on Pinterest. The more a pinner sees your content and can identify that this is your pin image, the more comfortable they will feel clicking on it. So your design could be extremely different. You could use images with no text, and other times you use images with text. You can change the positioning. Some of them you can use your bolder color in, and others you can use your more subdued colors in. It is your choice and it's your job to test that. However, you constantly want to be bringing in your elements of branding. That means either your logo, your website, but more importantly, your fonts and your brand colors. So like I said, if your clients love the bright, bold, colorful looks, take your bold branding color and use that, test that. Make sure you use your fonts, make sure you use your logo, and you use your bright, bold branding color. Then in another pin image, you can use your more subdued, softer branding color with your branding elements, your fonts, your logo, your website. Those are the different ways that you bring your branding in, but you still test different image variations. So what we want to do is we want to make sure that we are putting our content into different templates, into different designs to see what our audience actually engages with, what gets them to click through, what stands out among the crowd of pins on Pinterest. So here is your action step for today. I want you to create image variations for your content on Pinterest. Test the different types of pins and play around with your designs to see what your audience wants from you. You can use Canva to easily create these templates without having to come up with it yourself if you're brand new to designing. You can simply go to Canva, look at their Pinterest templates that they have, select that, choose from a variety of templates that they have, input your background image, your colors, your fonts, and so on, and test. Now, what happens once you've put this content on Pinterest? You've put these new images on Pinterest, and you have your one end goal. You want to take a look at your Pinterest analytics. You want to take a look at the most clicked pins to see which pin design got the most engagement. That means which one did your audience save the most? Which one did your audience click on the most? That is where you're going to find out which pin design you want to move forward with. Now, here's a pro tip. You can add multiple pin images that lead to the same piece of content to Pinterest. So for example, you have one blog post, you can have 10, 20, 30 pin images leading to that one blog post. Pinterest loves that, and so will your audience. If you have a wonderful blog post or a wonderful product and it has multiple images in that product or multiple images in the blog post, share those to Pinterest. You can create multiple pin image variations again to test which ones work with this blog post, which ones your ideal client actually prefers to engage with. That is going to help you, again, take strategic action on Pinterest. Now we're diving into the most exciting part when it comes to Pinterest and Pinterest's secret sauce, and that is keywords. Keywords for the Pinterest search engine. We need to work with the Pinterest search engine to make sure that our content is showing up in the search results, and that is where our keywords come into play. The biggest factor that will affect traffic to your website from Pinterest is the Pinterest search engine. When a Pinterest user types a keyword into the Pinterest search bar, Pinterest will analyze all the pins on Pinterest to find out which pins they should serve up in those search results. They use keywords to match pins with search queries. So if our ideal client uses the keywords cranberry sauce recipe, like we mentioned before, in the search bar, we want to make sure that Pinterest knows and can see that our cranberry sauce recipe pin is perfect for that search result. And we can do that by making sure that we put those keywords in all the right places. Now, the first question is, what's all the right places? Well, all the right places is where Pinterest analyzes your pin to figure out what it's actually about. What is this pin and piece of content actually about? So let's take a look at the different places that Pinterest will analyze to figure out what keywords they should map your pin for. Pinterest will find these keywords in the following places: your pin title, your pin description, your board names, your board descriptions, your website URL that a pin is associated with, the website page title, the website page description, the text on the pin image, and the objects inside the pin image. So let's take a look at those in a bit more detail. If you have keywords in your pin title, Pinterest will associate your pin with those keywords. If you have keywords in the pin description, again, your pin will be associated with those keywords. They're also going to look for keywords in the board names and board descriptions of all of the boards that you save this pin to. That is why it is so important to save your pins to relevant boards. They must be saved to the appropriate relevant boards because your pin will be associated with any keywords that board has. That means the board name is a keyword and the board description has keywords in it, and your pin will be associated with those keywords. The website URL is the actual website page that you're sending them to from that pin. If you're sending them to a blog post, that blog post's URL, if it has any keywords in it, Pinterest will look there and it will associate any appropriate keywords with your pin. The website page title is really the page title of the page you're sending them to. So again, if it's a blog post, it's the title of the blog post. And then the website page description is the description you give your blog post in any SEO section of your website or of that page. Sometimes you have an excerpt or a summary area where you can put a description. Pinterest will pick up that description. It will look for any appropriate keywords and it will associate your pin with those keywords. Text on the image. If you put text on your image design and any of the text has keywords in it, so any keywords on that image will be picked up and associated with that pin. The last one, objects inside the image. So Pinterest can actually see what is inside your image. For example, we have our cranberry sauce recipe example. If we have text on that image, on that pin, and it says best Thanksgiving cranberry sauce recipe, Pinterest can read that text and it will pick up the keywords Thanksgiving and cranberry sauce recipe. So it will associate your pin with those two keywords. If your pin image is of a Thanksgiving table spread with a bowl with the cranberry sauce in it, Pinterest can identify that. It will see that it's a bowl of cranberry sauce. It can see the table, it can see your decorations, and it will pick up keywords that it associates with those items in the actual image, and it will map your pin to that. I know mind blown. It's crazy that they can actually see what is in your pin image. So this is great for product-based businesses where you have a handbag in the actual image. They can tell that that is a handbag and they will associate the keyword handbag with that pin just from what they can see in the image. Now this is important because when you choose your images for your pin design, you want to choose relevant images. Images that will help Pinterest figure out what keywords to associate with your pin. If you are using irrelevant images, like an image of the ocean to describe a cranberry sauce recipe, that is not good. It's not helping your pin show up in the search engine. It's not helping Pinterest map the keywords that are appropriate for that pin. So the images you use and you choose to use are extremely important. The keywords you use on your Pinterest image in the text format, very, very important. Your website page title, your website page description, your website URL, your board descriptions, your board names, your pin descriptions, and your pin titles are all extremely important. But those are the main areas that Pinterest will look at to find keywords to see what is this pin about? Where should we show this pin across Pinterest? If someone searches for a cranberry sauce recipe and we have the keyword cranberry sauce recipe in our pin title, in our pin description, in our board name, so maybe it might be something like Thanksgiving recipes. That might be a better option since we're probably not going to create a cranberry sauce recipe board, but at least it has Thanksgiving recipe in there. And then the board description has the keyword cranberry sauce recipe and Thanksgiving in it. Then we have the website URL that says cranberry sauce recipe, the website page title, as in the blog post associated with this recipe, talks about the best Thanksgiving cranberry sauce recipe, the website page description that describes what this blog post is about includes the keyword cranberry sauce recipe. The text on the actual pin image says best Thanksgiving cranberry sauce recipe ever. That has the actual keyword on it now. And if we have a picture of a Thanksgiving table with a cranberry sauce with a cranberry sauce bowl on that actual table, Pinterest can pick up the cranberry sauce. It can actually see that that is a cranberry sauce in the bowl. And that again showcases exactly what keywords we want to map this pin with. Now that's just one example. We may not use cranberry sauce recipe in all of those areas, but here is a pro tip. Pinterest has said that if you use a keyword in more than one place out of this list, it is easier for them to map the keyword and give it a higher ranking and score, which means that you have a better chance of showing up in the Pinterest search engine because you've used it in more than one of those areas. That means they're actively looking for keywords to figure out what your pin is all about so that they can make sure that they match the pin with the right search query. Now, here's the great news. You can choose what words you use in all of those places so that Pinterest identifies those unique keywords for the pin and make sure that it's shown in front of your ideal client when they search for that unique keyword. So we want to make sure that we're using the right keywords in all of those places so that Pinterest can easily map that keyword and show our pin in front of our ideal client under that keyword. But the next question is, how do we actually figure out what keyword we should be using or what keywords we should be using in all of those places? Well, our first step is to actually do a keyword research. So what I want you to do is I want you to select the one pin you're going to analyze from the worksheet. And I want you to look at the pin. I want you to look at the piece of content. And I want you to identify some topics that relate to this piece of content, to the blog post or to the pin. You need to take a look at it and see, what would I describe this pin as to anybody if they asked me? What would I describe this blog post as? So identify a few of those topics so we can have some keywords to work with and so we can search for those in the Pinterest search bar to actually see if our audience is typing those in. So look at your piece of content, identify any relevant topics that relate to that pin. Then I want you to head to the Pinterest search bar and type that word or those different words into the search bar one at a time and hit enter. You'll notice that there are blocks that appear under the Pinterest search bar. That is called the Pinterest guided search. It indicates the most searched terms on Pinterest in relation to the word that you just typed in. This is keyword gold. This is how you find out if your keyword is actually being searched for on Pinterest. So let's take a look at an example. When we type in cranberry sauce into the Pinterest search bar, because we know that our blog post is about a cranberry sauce recipe, we want to make sure, is that actually what people are typing in when they look for this kind of recipe? Well, when we type in cranberry sauce, we'll notice that there are some buttons that appear that say homemade, Thanksgiving, crockpot, Jamie Oliver, and so on. When you hover over one of the blocks, you will see that it says search for cranberry sauce homemade. So that is a key phrase that people would type in when they're looking for cranberry sauce recipes. So the first step is to identify if your keyword shows these different blocks, because if it does, it means it's being searched for, and there are variations that are being searched for, and that is a good thing. Now, every single one of these blocks is a keyword in and of itself. Cranberry sauce is a keyword we could use. Homemade cranberry sauce is a keyword we could use. Thanksgiving cranberry sauce is a keyword we could use. Crockpot cranberry sauce, Jamie Oliver cranberry sauce, easy cranberry sauce recipes. So you can see every single one of those is a potential keyword. So what we want to do next is we want to identify if our keyword that we've selected is actually something our audience is typing into the search bar. If you're a newborn photographer, for example, and you have the baby taco pose. Now, you know what that means, but a new mom doesn't know what that means. So they're probably not typing that unique keyword into the Pinterest search bar. You're going to have to figure out what they actually are typing in. So what you want to do is you want to start by typing in the taco newborn pose. And then maybe you want to take away taco and you want to just say newborn pose, newborn photography poses. And so you will discover what your audience is actually typing in. For example, with our cranberry sauce recipe, there may be some audience members that don't actually type in cranberry sauce. Maybe there's a different word that they use that you don't know that they're using. So you want to make sure that you are using the perfect keyword. So we've taken away sauce and we've just written in cranberry to see if there's something else. Now, as you can see, cranberry relish comes up. Now you have to ask yourself, do your audience members type in cranberry relish or do they type in cranberry sauce? And you can take a look at all of the recipes there and choose whether or not you're going to use the keyword cranberry relish or cranberry sauce. Now again, you can choose multiple keywords per pin. That means you can use cranberry relish and cranberry sauce in your pin descriptions, in your pin titles, and all of those places. That is why I've given you some space to write down a few keywords for this pin that you're analyzing. This is how you're going to go about doing your quick keyword research just to identify a few basic keywords. This is the starter section for SEO keyword research. So I want to just make it easy today so you can take your first step, dip your toes in the water of SEO keyword research on Pinterest, and just work with one pin. Now, if you don't see any of those blocks appear under the search bar when you type in your keyword that you've identified for the pin, it's likely that your audience isn't actually searching for that keyword as much as they may be searching for a different keyword in association with your pin. So what you need to do is you need to think of what keyword would they use instead of this keyword that I just used. Is there something else that I know maybe they use that I wouldn't use? Now, here is an important thing to remember. Your audience isn't using the terminology or jargon that your industry is using. They don't know what floral installations are. They don't know what a taco newborn pose is. They don't know any of that. You need to be the one that figures out what are they typing in. If I had to describe this to a new mom who's having a photography shoot or a new bride or anything like that, my ideal client, how would I describe this in a way that they would understand? because that is what they're going to be typing into the Pinterest search bar. So that is what you need to be doing and figuring out. Now, if you don't see those blocks appear under there, try a different word and see if you can see all the pins pop up that look similar to your pins or are associated with the same type of content. Make sure you focus on those blocks that appear underneath. Are any of those blocks more appropriate for this pin instead of just the broad search? Cranberry sauce. Perhaps cranberry sauce Thanksgiving is a better keyword to use for this unique recipe. That is what you need to identify for your unique pin. Once you've identified a few of those keywords, I want you to go ahead and take a look at the pin title, the pin description, the board name, the board description, the website URL for that piece of content, the website page title, the text on the pin image, the website page description, and the objects in the actual image. And I want you to see and be honest with yourself, are these keywords visible in those areas? Can I see at least one or two of these keywords in one or two of these areas? That is what you need to do for your unique pin. That will ensure that your pin is showing up under those keywords that you have selected for that unique pin. So here is your action step today. I want you to research the keywords that you should use for one of your pins. I want you to take a minute to do a bit of keyword research. Go into each one of those blocks, click on them, see what else there is. And then what I want you to do is I want you to list those keywords. I want you to double check, are they in all of those areas or are they at least in more than one of those areas, so that your pin will actually show up in the Pinterest search engine. Now, the great thing about this keyword research is every time you click on one of those blocks, you can go deeper into a keyword research. You can see more related to that keyword. There is so much more that we can do with our keyword research to make sure that we are showcasing our content in front of our ideal clients on Pinterest and that we are ranking highly for our search terms. But here's the thing. These are the first 3 steps that you need to take. These are the first 3 things that you can do quickly, easily for one of your pins today to make sure that you are taking steps to triple your traffic with Pinterest. That was a lot that we just covered. We've looked at your main end goal for Pinterest, creating pins that your audience absolutely loves and making sure that you've tested them to see which ones your audience actually engages with, and then how to show up in the search results using keywords. These 3 tactics, these 3 things that you can take action on today will ensure that you're getting pinners to your website, but not only that, that they're actually converting. Why? Because 1, we're showing up in the search results. We're making sure our content shows up under the right keywords in front of our ideal clients. 2, our pins are enticing and exactly what our ideal client would engage with, so they can't help but click on it. And 3, once they click on it, the end goal is so clear. The action step is very clear, which means they're converting. Whether it's email signups, product sales, or anything like that. Once your end goal is clear, it becomes very easy for your audience to actually take action and convert. So those are 3 things I want you to work on today. You've seen how important keywords are to Pinterest since it is a search engine. I've also given you these 3 things that you can do right away to start improving your traffic from Pinterest. If you're ready to learn how to make sure that your pins show up exactly where you want them to in the Pinterest search engine, or how to properly do your keyword research to make sure you're choosing the right keywords, I've created a really quick, easy, bingeable mini course that will help you do exactly that. It's called Simplifying Pinterest Keywords, because as you know, I like to simplify things, keep them simple, keep them actionable so that you can take action today and start seeing the results that you would like to see. In the Simplified Pinterest Keywords mini course, I'm going to take you through understanding Pinterest SEO and keywords so that you fully understand how Pinterest actually maps your keywords, how they give it a confidence score and a ranking, and how you can actually affect that score to make sure that your content ranks higher in the search engine. I'm also going to show you a simplified keyword research process, how to do your keyword research with a master list and a template included, how to find the right keywords for your content and your unique Pinterest profile, using your website to guide your keyword research, using your Pinterest keywords effectively across your website, across Pinterest, and across your content. And then I'm going to go into implementing your keywords across your Pinterest profile. That means, where do we put these keywords? What do we do with our descriptions? And I'm going to showcase some formulas you can use for your pin descriptions, board descriptions, and so on. I'm also going to show you how you can use your keywords in your pin designs and also on your website. And then lastly, we're going to dive into things like alternative ways to do keyword research, how you can use the limited space available for your keywords in the descriptions, what to do when your targeting is off and how you know if your targeting is off, how to leverage your keywords beyond Pinterest so that not only are you helping your content rank on Pinterest, but also on Google. How do you know if you've chosen the right keywords? That is what we're going to cover. I'm going to also help you see how you can test if your keyword targeting is working and how to rank under the search terms you've chosen, how to test if you're actually showing up in those different places. And I'm also going to take you through why less is more is definitely a motto we have when it comes to Pinterest SEO. I'm going to take you through how to start using keywords effectively on Pinterest to show up in front of your ideal client and get consistent traffic. And as a thank you for taking notes and learning with me here today, I'm giving you access to the Simplified Pinterest Keywords mini course for $100 off. You can get access to the course for only $99. If you're ready to work with the Pinterest search engine and get traffic to your website every single month from pins you've added months ago, then head on over to kathrynmoorhouse.com/bonus to take a look at what's included in Simplifying Pinterest Keywords and join and get $100 off. Thank you so much for joining me here today in Triple Your Traffic with Pinterest. What I want you to do today is take some time to work through those 3 things we just learned, coming up with your end goal, working on your pin design, and identifying the keywords you want to rank under on Pinterest for your unique pins. Once you work on those 3 things, you will be on your way to tripling your traffic with Pinterest. If you want to dive deeper into Pinterest keywords and making sure your content ranks under the right keywords on Pinterest, and that your content shows up in front of your ideal client so that they can click on it and engage with your offers on your website, then make sure you join me in Simplifying Pinterest Keywords. Thank you so much for joining me here today. Have a wonderful day and make sure you connect with me over on kathrynmoorhouse.com.